get here. But we started here. The fact of the matter is that the work that is going to be now like supported and galvanized by this eruption of consciousness has already started, and it's going to be up to a lot of us who are in leadership on, visible levels and celebrity, a lot of us who are in leadership in our communities, all of us who are in leadership in our homes and in our friendships and in our jobs, to be very precise about making it clear that there is no other side to this argument.
Matt, I want to pull you in here. I think you're a New York.
Let's see what these people come out. They only call on things like this as people pretty much sellouts. Let's see. Let's analyze, y'all.
Around the globe, you come to this conversation with hope, with frustration, with anger.
Let's see what their solutions are.
I feel hopeful by how much folks are galvanized, and a lot of my work. I'm not here as a white person to talk about what black folks should and shouldn't do, but I will talk about white folks because I am a white person, and I believe as white people, it is our responsibility to speak directly to other white people. So in this moment, I feel grateful to see people activated. I feel grateful to see a conversation about defunding the police, a more radical conversation of vision for the future that is not about just tinkering with pieces of the system.
This is copyright 76 for teacher purpose.
For most of my life, I did not have any understanding of my white privilege or the oppression of black people, particularly at the hands of the criminal justice system. And I think it's important. I'm both heartened by where we're at, and also think it's important as white people to understand why we're so late to this conversation. And that is internalized racism, right? When we talked about Black Lives Matter 5 years ago, and then we stopped talking about it until what is happening right now, we have to really understand, take a hard look at ourselves and think about why that is. And we know that we would never put up with that happening to folks in the white community. So I'm both heartened by the shift in the conversations, and we still have further to go. And it's just my call to white people that we make Black liberation a part of our daily lives. And unless we do that, the things are still going to keep continuing.
Tell your white people to pay reparations. That's what you can do. We don't want all that sympathy and all that kind of stuff. We save that. Cut the check. That's what you tell your white people.
How do you hear not only what Matt and Amanda
17 trillion.
shared, but what's your own personal thinking and feeling in this moment that we are?
That's all we want from you.
Millions of people protesting all around the globe.
I hope that this feeling that we feel in our chest that something's not right and we need to risk literally our health to get out and fight it will be that same feeling we feel in our chest on November 3rd. Because the thing about systemic racism is that it lives and breathes because the country is
November 3rd. You ain't got nobody. This is the coon. Here they go with that bullshit.
The mess going. So we need to have an overhaul of our who's in office right now, and I mean from top to bottom, to make sure that the people that are there actually care about people.
Yeah, here's a coon right here. And both for Biden, right?
Are thinking about other people and not necessarily money or power or race.
That's why these black women, they make my ass tight. I'm sick of they sellout ass.
Planet is Jane Elliott, and when she talked to that room full of white people, she said, "Who in here wants to be treated the way black people are treated?" Nobody stood up. No hand was raised. And her response to that was, then you know it's not right and you don't want it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So if we just start there, only go for what you would personally want for yourself or your kids or your family, and then we'll be fine. Just think of other people and we'll be fine. Think of them as yourself.
Shut up.
I appreciate that. You're actually giving me the perfect entree to start bringing in a little bit of the virtual audience. And so Jaspy, I know that you grew up in Detroit. I know you've got a little bit of perspective here too. Introduce yourself briefly and reflect both on what you've heard, but maybe also on what you're thinking and feeling.
Carlos, I'm an entrepreneur living in Atlanta, Georgia. I want to really talk about the deja vu that I'm feeling and seeing as a baby boomer. And I saw the 1967 riots. I saw and heard the tanks coming down my normally very quiet street. I also heard the sniper exchange and the bullets from the National Guard at night where we couldn't sleep. And then riding down the street in the car with my 3-year-old daughter, a National Guard trooper stopped us and put his rifle in my daughter's face. 3 years old, and she remembers that to this day. So I am just really fed up. I'm like Fannie Lou Hamer, sick and tired of being sick and tired, seeing this narrative and seeing the systemic racism that has contributed both then and today. So I think what we really need is a blueprint. And that's what I want to hear more of. What is the blueprint that is going to address the legal tier, that is going to address education, that is going to address economic empowerment, is going to address entrepreneurship, which is one thing that's going to begin to close the wealth gap.
Cut the check. That's what.
You've experienced this from a number of different angles. Would you mind giving people a little perspective on the experience you bring to this?
I'm a former police officer, and I am pretty familiar with the police side. I like sharing about my experiences because a lot of people, aren't in law enforcement. So I know when I did see the George Floyd video, you're looking at someone who was wearing not the same uniform. I wasn't in Minneapolis, but part of a group. And really what I believe, it really comes down to good and evil. We all know that racism is evil at its core. And to see, and I don't know even if this particular officer in Minneapolis was a racist. I can't tell that from the video.
Here we go.
Things in his background, and if this guy, if those 18 things in his background are true, and things did happen, and there was a long trail of this evil activity by a particular group. If you see injustice and you see evil and you do nothing about it, then you're just as guilty as the other party.
I think every black
Bet
person
you
on
saw a
here
whole lot of
said,
that, and you didn't do shit
looking
about
at
it.
that video, I can't tell if
Oh,
the reasons
God.
went. Pardon? I think the reality is that there's
Amanda, say more about that, because
I'm about to. I think the reality is there's always this forgiveness given to the concept of being an officer, and that maybe there's a possibility, perhaps. That same thing isn't applied to the black folks that they are killing at will. So why is it that we always have this why is it that we have this very clear forgiveness that we offer to cops because they're in the line of duty and it's a very stressful job, etc.? We don't offer that to black people, though. Being black in America is a very stressful job, baby. It's a very stressful job. And it's one that we don't get paid to do. Okay? We didn't even sign up for it. There's been enough very clear, I'm going to get to you, Ray. There's been enough very clear examples of cops being just straight up racist that we cannot afford to keep erring on the side of possibility. Ray, I understand you're a police officer. I know that you can agree with me that within the hierarchy of the police department, I wouldn't be surprised if those two officers didn't feel like they could say anything.
I know. And I totally agree that if this is allowed to happen in a particular department or whatever department, whether it's Minneapolis or anywhere else, if these officers feel that they can get away with something just because it's been accepted for a long time, then the whole system needs to be looked at. What I'm saying is that let's say, for instance, there's let's say a African American person kills a white person. I don't just immediately assume that it's a racial thing.
I wanted to particularly not have these conversations because I knew it was going to piss me off. And I purposely asked, I said, I do not want to have this conversation on this town hall because I knew it was going to get my blood boiling on this Saturday. You are literally comparing a regular person and a regular person to a literal police institution that was built off of the backs of overseers and people finding slaves. So it was created within the context of racism. So you cannot, just like America was created within the context of racism. Just like Matt said, you can't keep just tinkering things around. No, giant shifts. It's like Jenga. You got to stop moving the pieces from the top. That's what has to happen. We got to move pieces from the bottom. You know why? So it can topple. Because, Ray, what you're telling me doesn't make sense. It's you still trying to make excuses. And the fact of the matter is, I can tell you now, if the people who were watching this happen didn't even feel like they could step in, why are these two cops any different? All of Minneapolis was taping this. We got all the angles. nobody felt like, you know what, I could come in. You know why? Because there has been such a consistent presence of police intimidation that at this point, even when you're looking at someone taking a life, you don't feel like you could help without losing your life. And maybe you're not accustomed to that because you were armed for so long. But the truth of the matter is, I'm looking at a white man who's a part of a racist institution hold his knee over a black man for a $20 bill. So that right there alone is somebody who has the thought process of, I need to punish. And that's not even his job. That's not even his job.
And I completely
That's
agree.
that. And then Gatsby, when you're asking for a blueprint, you know what we are so blessed to have? A history. Well, unfortunately, sis, these conversations are going to happen again in another 20 years. But the beauty is that we get closer every time. Change does not
Fuck
happen.
that shit.
Remember,
No,
we are
this is it, bitch. We ain't getting closer.
And as Black
Fuck that
Americans,
shit. It's time to get away from these
people,
motherfuckers.
As far as existence goes,
400 years, bitch. Talking about 20 years, we'll be close. No.
So until we understand that this is a very long game and that
No, fuck that.
we are somebody else's ancestors, we have to know that like
No, see, that's why we can't let these black women speak for us. She was going good till she got to that, went down that damn road. No, motherfucker, this is it.
A movement that's happening right now of people saying
We ain't got no more 20 years for this bullshit. Shut the hell up.
They did a blueprint. You know, they had written it down in pencil, and these folks came in and obliterated it. This time, we need to write it in pen and make sure that it's a lot harder for them to obliterate. And with that, I am out. Everyone have a blessed Saturday.
I am so glad to hear you say that.
One
Bye-bye.
second.
Stay black, y'all. Stay safe and stay allies. Love you, Matt.
Thank you. Derek, let me ask you to come join us here. This clearly is a difficult conversation. You heard Amanda share that for her, not only did she share a number of perspectives, but she shared that this is a hard conversation for her to participate in. In some ways, she feels like there's been too much talk and there's too wide a gap. Is that the reality of our situation?
But you know, the conversations, they're going to be difficult, but they're necessary. You got to have these difficult conversations.
Hey, this coon here.
to get to true solution.
Ain't no fuck, they ain't gonna get no solution on this nigga. The solution is cut the check.
When you can watch on television or social media, someone
We have to separate from these people.
8 minutes and 46.
We need our own.
For many whites who actually have a moral center of gravity, there's a level of guilt, and out of that, there's retreat or fear that if they speak up, something's going to happen negative. But we got to have the conversation. These conversations have to be
Fuck a conversation. Cut the check.
and not emotional driven. But emotions are in the center of the reality of what we're sitting in. We are in a scenario now that we got to have the hard conversation. It's going to be difficult. November is the tipping point.
Man, these niggas, man. These are not our leaders, man. These niggas don't speak for us. They speaking for their own ass. Because they getting a fat check and they want to sit here and talk about this shit till the cows come home. And we ain't talking no more.
Also, I want to come to you. I know that you've been covering the protests for Vice. You've been on the streets. You've been in the middle of it. Where does that lead you to?
I've been on the ground here in Minneapolis for about a week, but one thing that I did see that was very impressive was behind the scenes, there was a headquarters at a restaurant where they had a very complex network of resources that they dispatched to the field to support protesters out in the field. So they had people bringing donations of fire extinguishers. They had medical professionals that were furloughed who came to volunteer their services to be volunteer medics to go out into the field. I was able to do a ride along in a makeshift ambulance with these volunteer medics. And they mentioned that they're there primarily to serve the protesters, but even if a police officer fell ill or was injured, they help them too. These are white, black, green, gray people coming together. And that's one component. But there's another thing that I want to bring up that I thought about earlier was that I grew up in the South. And racism in the South, people, think they understand what it is to be. And for the most part, they're right. But I live in New York now. I live in Brooklyn. And I find that from liberals, there's a strong false sense of intellectual and moral superiority that leads them to believe that they can't be racist. And so what that leads to is a benign racism that expresses itself through microaggressions that are just as dangerous as the hooded white man walking towards me with a tiki torch. And so on an existential level for liberal white folks, I think it's important for them to take a critical inventory of any sort of racism that they think they may have. And that's the difficult conversation. It's not between black folks and white folks. The difficult conversation is an existential conversation that white people have to have with themselves individually.
Yeah, if anything. But we just want them bastards to cut the check. It ain't about us no more. We out of that shit. All we want is our money. We didn't talk to you motherfuckers for 400 years. We done talking. Fuck all that.
Law enforcement, of course, plays a critical role in implementing change. And joining us
2019 with 400 years. That's it. We're done.
Who oversees 5,300 police officers. We're also joined by the co-founder of Until Freedom, Tamika D. Mallory.
You want to keep talking, you can talk to these damn bootlicks. But you cut us the check. They don't speak for us.
In our earlier segments, we had some very difficult conversations where a number of people expressed frustration with the degree to which police have killed unarmed black men, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, and there seems to have been no change. How do you think about that? And
Yeah, because we might want to go to the continent and start building over there.
Well, I think that the
Shit.
death of George Floyd has really
Hell up out of here.
like we've never seen before. Finally, when you start hearing police union leaders, now let's see how long this lasts, actually speak.
Oh, not that
For the first
racist.
time in my 34 years of policing, that's like a watershed moment. But the most important piece for me is that I see a lot of other people, other than people of color, that are angry and that are marching, and that gives me a great hope. One of the things I've been telling my activists here that are angry, why weren't those officers arrested right away at Minneapolis? And I believe that the reason in 2020, we have a major city police department still allowing the use of a carotid control hold. And I think that that's what created problems initially with that. So we've got to figure out what are the critical policies, what are the critical training sets, and we've got to make sure that all 18,000 police departments, if they want to be operating in this
We done, man. We just want our money. You know, and do that for your own people. Just give us our money, and then we can do what we need to do. You owe that.
not just for a moment, but
You said 40 acres of mule way back then. 40 acres of the mule. Give us our goddamn money.
you hear Chief Acevedo and what he shared? And is there
Hold all that bullshit.
optimism that something important and different can take place going forward?
I think there is, space for optimism in this moment because we see that people, even though they're uncomfortable, they're having to make new decisions, they're having to make new statements. How this all translates into real action and reform and change within departments is going to be the test. But it is absolutely encouraging to hear the chief speak about what the standards should be of police departments.
Oh, man.
My brother
Another
Trey
black
Truth,
woman.
who is a Houston resident, that he and others have said that Houston police departments are at least trying. And so this is not
Who
about
cares? Just give us our damn money.
officer or one police department. We're talking about systemic change. We're talking about rooting
You
out
would never get that in America.
racism
Stop it.
across the entire system, and that's not just in police departments. It's also in the courts.
Okay, Jamel Hill, I want to bring you in,
Oh, no.
formerly of ESPN today, writing for The Atlantic and hosting your own podcast. And Jamel, I know all of this is also very personal for you, because while many people focused on the players like Colin Kaepernick and others who protested, you were one of the few in the media who said you felt like there was a fundamental need here. And in some ways, you arguably lost your job for this. How do you see the moment that we're in today?
I'm optimistic in the sense that you see that this has now become a nationwide cause. And before, it just felt as if Black people were just punching against the air fruitlessly, and no one was listening, and that we were literally talking to a bunch of brick walls. And now,
Yeah, that's what we want. We want our money.
a lot of people who suddenly understand that this has been a significant.
We don't want to see no more Black Lives Matter signs. We want to see reparations for black people.
Look at what people do.
I'll take you white people out there marching seriously. If I can see reparations for blacks, you drop them goddamn Black Lives Matter signs, and I want to see reparations for black people. Then I'll take you seriously. Until you do that, I don't give a damn.
After Colin Kaepernick. came after his players, he stood down. What are they going to do if somebody decides to take a knee in the fall or whenever football comes back? What's he going to do if Donald Trump continues to use this as a campaign issue for him? They have 32 NFL owners. None of them are black. They never had a majority black owner in the NFL. They have 2 black general managers and 3 black head coaches. It looks like there's a systemic issue they need to deal with in their own building. And so I can't really give them a lot of praise when these problems have been right in front of their face beyond the protest. Until Colin Kaepernick has a job, I don't want to hear any apologies from Roger Goodell.
Tamika, what do you think?
The NFL saying that they apologized for being in opposition to those who were protesting racism in terms of the players. They didn't necessarily apologize directly to Colin Kaepernick, and so those are some of the systemic things that have to be worked on.
All right, let's switch gears for a moment. I want to go to our audience. Johnny, talk to me. How do you think about both what you've heard and about the possibility for real conversation that will lead to real change?
I think this is a very worrisome conversation because it seems like it's very much the same of what we have experienced in the past 50 years since the civil rights legislation and movement. I will say, as the public servant on the panel here, that as someone who has worked in the White House and someone who was gassed on Monday and shot at, that I find it hypocritical that we're having a conversation of this nature because, let's be clear, how many people who are on a panel now at this particular moment actually wrote to the member of Congress in the House and the Senate to say, hey, the immaterial anti-legislation is out there. Are you supporting that? Yes or no? If you did not do that, and if you're of age, if you did not do that, then you're hypocritical. This is a very hypocritical conversation because I don't see where you're saying now there needs to be action. Gatsby mentioned earlier that we need to have a blueprint. I'm sorry, with all due respect, there's already a blueprint.
Chief, how do you hear that? Is that legitimate and you embrace it? Do you see something else here? How do you think about it?
I say to Johnny, amen. Thank you. Thank you for pointing out the obvious that the law enforcement, the police, we're the most visible cog, but a lot of the problems go well beyond police. So I challenge everyone here to let's not just focus on what we have to do from the policing perspective. There's a lot more that needs to be done across the national level. We've got to look at the underlying societal issues that impact everything we do. I believe that if we printed the money like we did for COVID to deal with the socioeconomic issues,
you damn right, reparations,
issues, mental health issues, all the issues, the employment issues, on the front end, we will, in the back end, be able to see the positive results, and then we can start cutting back on all the policing.
Okay, let's switch gears for a moment.
You damn right. You sure about that? You right about that? Cut the goddamn check.
How do you hear our conversation today, and how do you think about the moment that we're in as a nation?
I think that this is an extremely difficult situation that we're in, and it is difficult conversations to have. But I'm excited about having them. I'm excited about talking to my daughters. They can only speak
But it is difficult.
from our little
Another pale
corner of
face.
the world in Colorado that they're confused about this because they don't see color.
That's a goddamn lie.
This is confusing for that age group, and I'm talking about 12, 8, and 5. So I loved the opportunity to be able to have a real conversation with my daughters, knowing my own background.
They may not see it right now, but they will be seeing it.
Age 45.
The 112, she see it.
Jamel, how do you hear what Heather just shared, and how do you hear the possibility for evolution given the conversation we're having today?
Well, what immediately struck me, and I'm sure there were other people, other black people on this call, all of our eyebrows probably went up collectively when you said your kids don't see color. And that is because that is the whole point of whenever you discuss race is not to not see color. You want them to see color. You just don't want them to be racist. That's a totally different thing. Like, you want them to appreciate the beauty and the nuance in other cultures and understanding why they're different. And understanding what makes them special and unique. So being able to see them as fully formed, Black people or Latino people or whoever is in their friendship group is an important piece of this, so that they can understand the uniqueness in those friendships, in those people that they're seeing. Because what happens when you say, I don't see color, you also make the people of color invisible at the same time. And so it's important that you not necessarily teach that part of it, I think. I've always been stunned, frankly, when talking to white friends of mine, how little, or the fact that they didn't talk about race in their home. We always talked about race in our house, right? I mean, there's a lot of white people who have a very limited knowledge of American history and understanding how people of color factored into that history. This isn't just about teaching Black History, about Black History Month. This is about Black history being American history, and whether or not we've been taught things beyond just in most history books, which is slavery, then Martin Luther King came along, and then Obama. So when something like George Floyd happens, they're like, wait, where does this racism come from? The country was literally built on that. America became a superpower because of slavery, and you'd be shocked at the number of people who do not know that.
All right, these conversations have been amazing. We're going to continue this.
Yeah, we'll be right back, family.
3 hours of engaging dialogue with our panelists and guests, and now we're picking up the conversation on the topic of Black women.
Oh, okay, they're not going away. Uh-oh, the topic of Black women.
Now we need to talk about a group that has been treated especially poorly, often by police or by the media, Black women and girls.
What the fuck?
To talk about how we continue to fight for these women is Yvette Nicole Brown, and the national director for the NAACP.
Just talk about the whole thing collectively, man.
We're also joined by...
See, I think they're trying to go down a certain road when they try to play this shit.
Now, although Black women make up less than 7% of the U.S. population, unfortunately, they represent about 10% of all missing persons cases throughout the country. At the same time, Black women who have been killed by the police, Breonna, Tatiana, Pamela, Corinne, Yvette, Miriam, don't receive the same level of public outcry as men in similar situations.
I don't like the division. We know our women, they've been into slavery with us.
Because femininity is only a weapon if you're a white woman. We've seen and watched white women weaponize their whiteness and their gender to get what they want and to know how they show up in violence.
Let's see how the Black women handle this. Let's give them a chance. Let's see.
We are watching the entire nation focus on all of the protests and the marches and the continued police brutality, but none of the murderers in Breonna Taylor's case have been arrested yet. And so the lack of attention is clear. It's because America has never respected Black women. And in often cases when we talk about femininity or women in this case, it's always because
they don't respect none of us.
Specialized white women are uplifted on a pedestal and they don't pay attention to Black folks. We need to see more financial investment, not only from community organizations.
There you go, money.
America itself, to make sure that Black women's voices, their stories are acknowledged and heard, and that we can make sure that we end police and state-sanctioned violence, not just for Black Lives Matter, but for Black women and Black trans folks as well.
Kylie, that's a perfect...
Oh, fuck all that. That bitch didn't... See, I knew it. I knew that goddamn shit right there. That bitch didn't put trans in there. See, that's why these Black women, that's why I hate going to them. Because they always with some bullshit.
There's been a struggle for recognition for Black women in the same way that we're beginning to see for Black men.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for having this conversation. I also want to honor others, as you mentioned, so many women who have gone unnamed, so many women who have gone unseen in this conversation, women like Nia Wilson, Yvette Henderson, Janisha Fontville, Sandra Bland, Monique Deckard, Megan Hockaday, Maya Hill, Alexia Christian, Riddell Jones, India Kager, Markeisha McMillan, Betty Jones. I could go on and on and on talking about these women and saying their names out loud so that we recognize and understand what we're here to do for these women. As someone else has said, we have to protect our Black women and understand that they are girls that need nurturing. We are the nurturers in the Black community, and we have to remember to continue to nurture ourselves and our Black women and take care of them and say their names and honor them so that they can be acknowledged in the same way and that Breonna Taylor's murderers can come to justice. All of that is very important in this moment.
Jamel, how do you hear this conversation and think about it? Because you come to it from many different angles. You've worked a lot of your career in a male-dominated industry, so you've probably thought about gender a bunch in that way.
See, this is the wrong goddamn conversation now.
Is there the opportunity
See,
over the next
this the kind of shit I be talking about. Now you want to get into this gender shit.
Part of this change conversation as Black men may become.
Well, as both of the two wonderful women before me were saying the names of the Black women's lives who've been lost. It was just like a piece of my heart just kept being kicked off at every name because I do understand very much as a Black woman how invisible we are in this country. Our struggle.
Man, you ain't invisible. Y'all got the biggest mouths in the goddamn country. Shit. Now y'all want to play. Look, we all in slavery together. This is a together thing. We're not separating that shit.
I mean, Breonna Taylor, I have worried consistently that she is going to get lost in every.
Ain't no, but we not gonna get lost. That's our sister. We love her. See, this is the kind of shit. That's why, man. That's why I don't like going and talking to Black women. They should follow our lead. Cause when you let them go out by themselves, the shit gets divided.
Yvette, I want to bring you into this, and again, I'm so appreciative that I feel like we're doing something different here.
This nigga here, they didn't pay him to do this. See, that's how you know white supremacy behind this. They told that nigga to look. You just talk to the Black women and separate this shit. See, this is the divisive tactic right here. Divisive tactic.
Yes, we are strong, but guess why? Guess why we're strong? Because we have to be. Because we're neglected, unprotected, and disrespected. Sometimes that comes from this nation as a whole. And no, I don't feel an outpouring of allyship from other women. Again, because we are the most neglected, unprotected, and disrespected people in this nation.
Vice News correspondent.
See, here we go. Here we go.
How do you hear what Yvette just shared, that call to arms, that call for help?
We talk about how many times we've said that this is a difficult conversation to have. It's difficult for different reasons, right? It's difficult for white folks because it makes them uncomfortable. It's different for Black folks because we're tired of having it, you know? And as a Black man, I recognize that I am probably one of the most misunderstood species in America. And Black women, right, as has been mentioned, are feared because, to me, when a Black woman understands who she is and she's able to cut through all of the constructs that have been, you know, like created around her and is able to maximize her potential, there's nothing on the planet that can stop her. But who is there for her?
For her.
You know, and that's a question that that Black men need to be answering.
Again, if I could ask you to...
Here we go. This nigga here put that on us too. Boy, I tell you, our men is so fucking weak.
You know, I'm appalled. Racism should be illegal, period. There should be punishment for racism. That's the only way you stop people from acting out from such a selfish way. You know, people don't change their minds unless they have to. And I'm into that, really. I really want to see that, you know? I went to a demonstration a few days ago, and unfortunately I didn't see any other middle-aged white women.
That nigga wouldn't bash Black men too. Boy, I tell you, these niggas, boy.
But you know, so am I. I'm 63, but some things are more important than that.
And Heather, how do you hear this conversation, good, bad, or otherwise, surprised, not surprised, agree, disagree? How do you hear the conversation around Black women that we've just had?
I am fascinated by it. I think that I have a lot to learn about it. I appreciate Jamel. Is that how you say your name? I appreciate her being tender with me and there being a lesson there for me to learn and take back to my children. I grew up in a racially diverse, I went to a racially diverse high school, and some of my best friends were Black girls. I dated a Black boy in high school, and I just realized that I have still a lot to learn, and raising 3 daughters, a lot to teach.
Okay, I'd actually like to hear from our audience.
So my name is Ayo Abigail. I am a current Spelman College student, and I'm based in Los Angeles, California. As a Black woman in America, the thing that I receive the least is acknowledgement, and the thing that I see the least is
this is a dangerous one right here.
That's what I'm looking for.
This is dangerous.
And I'm so glad what you just said just brought
This
so
is
much
LGBTQ.
to my heart and my space, just because I felt like, thank you for recognizing your privilege, and thank you for recognizing that you have a part to play in all of this. And like literally as I'm speaking, I can feel the tension in my shoulders because I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of screaming. I'm tired of having to say her name. I'm tired of having to tweet and yell and get in people's faces to see me and recognize me and acknowledge me, because I'm worth the acknowledgement. We are worth the acknowledgement. We have so much value other than what our bodies can do, other than what our voices are able to, our ability to take care and nurture. We're so much more than that. We are people and we deserve to be recognized.
Hey, Carl, can I just say just very, very quickly, because I know you're short on time. Aldo mentioned a second ago about like the difficulty in the conversation. White people are having their own difficulty, black people frustrated. The conversation in our community that's often difficult and never had is about gender. We still have not been able to have that conversation in our community because, unfortunately, a lot of black men take that personally as if we're criticizing them and as if we're doing the same thing
You just did.
people do to them, when all we want to do is have a for real, honest conversation about gender in our community that still has.
What you want to conversate about?
It's part of the reason why there's invisibility.
You want to rule us? Yeah, you want to rule us? That ain't going down. We ain't having no conversation about that.
Stay tuned. I'm going to host one of those first conversations. You're going to help me with that. Stay tuned. We're going to get that done. I'm glad you said that. I think it will be really valuable.
Yeah, we ain't having no conversation about you ruling us. Is that where you going with that?
Start with you. I know in your role at the NAACP, you've often had to think about what systemic change could look like. Talk to us about what you see as some of the 2 or 3 critical solutions that you hope will take place over the next year or two.
So the next step is getting engaged, making sure that we can translate protest to power. It's not enough to gather and raise voices of concern. We have to move towards power.
How do you think about some of the potential solutions? Earlier when we were talking about the NFL, you've said an apology is not enough. What do you think will make a difference?
Well, I would just want to piggyback off what Derek said, is that we have to stay politically engaged. A lot of eyes are on November, but a lot of things happen right underneath your nose. As I continue to say, district attorneys are elected positions, okay? Hold your district attorneys accountable. There is a lot of cities that have police boards, of which citizens can sit on those police commissions. So if you don't like how the police in your area are behaving, if you feel like at the very least you need to find out how to keep them more accountable and make sure that those systems are in place as a citizen, you have a lot of rights. And there's a lot of things that you can just do in your own community in order to ensure that the citizens are being treated fairly, that your police departments are not running around unchecked.
Matt McGorry, let me grab you here. How are you thinking about the road ahead, whether it relates to the things that Jamel was sharing?
Racism is a white people problem. It's not a people of color problem.
That's right.
We have to really take that on as our own fight and examine why we might be reticent to do so. And we have to be willing to be uncomfortable. We have to be willing to fight and to sacrifice and to lose things. And
We just want our money though now. At this point, we that y'all handle that. We just cut us out a check. That's all we want.
Poverty and criminalized poverty.
We can take care of everything else.
To the root of the system, because even poor cops showing up is violence, right? Incarceration is violence. So we have to remember that it's not about only about individual officers. In the worst cases, that makes it easy for some cops to say that was bad, but it's actually about grabbing the system by the roots and ripping it out of the ground and creating something new.
I love seeing that father and son duo there. Jalen, I'm sure you were once known as Jamal's son, and nowadays Jamal's known as Jalen's dad.
You go first. No, because I'm going to say a little bit more than you do, so you go first.
Well, my name is Jamal. I'm from Fallon, Missouri. This is my 17-year-old son, and I'm here today just because of him. My first protest that I attended was one that he and his friends organized, and it was just this past Monday. From what I've heard today, one of the things that stood out to me about the conversations that everybody's talking about having is my part and why those conversations are difficult for me as an African-American man, as a husband, as a father. I feel like I've failed, like I've dropped the ball, like I've let down so many different people for certain reasons. When we talk about police brutality, I feel like instead of just saying to him things like, keep your hands on the dashboard, don't make any sudden moves, don't do those things, I should have been more effective in trying to change some things in the community so he wouldn't have to go through
You damn right.
I did. So for me, the moving forward is what I think everybody has to do. We all have to take our long, hard look in the mirror and see what role we all play in why we're here.
Yeah, so I'm Jalen Thompson. I put on a protest in my hometown of Fallon with 3 of my friends. It was kind of just something that we did because it's not a conversation that the people here had. There are adults in this city that told us that this wasn't something that should be happening. It wasn't for this. It wasn't for us to talk about.
Right.
And that's kind of why we were doing it. It's because not necessarily the people that are here on this call right now, but there are many, many adults across America that I feel have failed us. As
Hey, you right.
We aren't educated enough.
You right, brother. Sure right.
There are black kids that don't learn what's been happening from anyone but their parents.
That's right.
They go to school and they learn about white people and what white people have done and Martin Luther King. And as a 17-year-old, I'm sure there are other people in this call that have grown up in the same generation as me. I understand and they understand that I'm not educated enough and I have to work to be educated on these subjects.
Uh-huh.
And that's a terrible thing, is that our history isn't locked in. We have to find it ourselves.
That's terrible. You sure right, brother. That youngster make the best comment. Sure right.
Just continuing, the young people of this country, I will tell you, are tired of...
Yeah, y'all moving on it too. I give y'all youngsters credit. These other coon ass.
Sit, be quiet, and be seen, not heard.
Right.
But I'll tell you, that doesn't work for us.
Yeah, thank you. Good.
And anxious to go out into the world and change it.
Change it, baby.
Not what it should be as a
yeah.
Now,
I'm with you too. I'm ready to fight on this. Shit, that's what we've been doing. I'm glad they started to get educated. Yes.
You agreed or disagreed with it?
I think the most interesting thing that I've heard today is I've just heard a lot of willingness to learn. Like, I'm seeing the change, but I'm hearing it in this diverse group of people, and I'm just feeling more confident than ever.
I appreciated hearing about how the Black women feel within their community. That was not something that I was sensitive to or tracking, so I appreciated that.
To be quite honest, it's what my dad just said. He's never said that to me, that I've taught him to kind of rethink how he's taught me as a child, and I guess I'll get to take that on as I grow up and have my own children.
I've learned that I'm doing stuff, but I can do more, and I need to learn more, and also that this is not just an issue for the African American community. We all have to do it. The changes are so great that need to be done that we all have to step in.
I learned a lot, but it's not even so much what I heard, it's what I saw on your faces. I watched a lot of this conversation and I saw a lot of nodding and a lot of smiles and a lot of, even when it got a little tight, it got tight for a minute a couple times. When it got tight, people still heard and listened, and that makes me feel like love is going to be the pathway that gets us through this. And
money, cutting a check, it's going to give a pathway to get us through this.
Make this better. So thank you.
Yvette, thank you.
See, we got to stay on it. We got to lead this, man. We have to lead this.
How about you, Jamel?
I've been feeling very pessimistic and frustrated all week, and this is the first thing I've done where I've actually felt some actual hope.
It's been a wonderful conversation and just understanding.
Oh, he's a bootleg.
Movements are intergenerational. Movements are.
This is a bootleg here.
Impacted but supported by those who are from the broader community. Movements use protest as a tool, but understand that power is the goal. We have the power in this movement of people who are concerned about how we treat one another and the direction of this country. NAACP, our hashtag, we are done dying. We no longer want to talk about the negative narrative of dying. We want to talk about the narrative of fighting, because when we fight, we win.
You guys, I want to thank everyone here. You guys have inspired me. I didn't realize it, if I'm honest. Like a lot of you, in order to deal with this, you put aside some feelings, some emotions, some challenge, and being with everybody here today and seeing how open people were and how much they spoke and shared it. So thank you all, and I hope you continue the conversation where you are in your ways, and I hope that we make real change.
Man, please. Just bring us a check. We'll make the change. We need our money. We can make the change for ourselves. We don't need nobody help. We in these positions because we ain't got no money. So we can build for ourselves.
Hands to the heavens, no man, no weapon. Formed against, yes, glory is destined. Everyday women and men become legends. Sins that go against our skin become blessings.
Yeah, and you black people need to keep the Most High's laws. All this stuff is happening to you because you want to be like white people and stuff. It was never meant for you to be like that. Keep the Most High's laws. That's what you're supposed to be doing, keeping the commandments. It's 613 of them. Bad things happen to you because you refuse to turn back to the Most High. You're the children of Israel, of a man called Israel. If you turn back, the Most High will help us. But all that talking and stuff, we done with all that. If you're going to cut us a check, cut the check. If you're not, just shut the hell up. Get out the way. That's how we feel now. It's been 400 years. You know, I got no more talk for you. Period. And that's it and that's all. Have a good day.